But I want a 4K camera.
I like your.
So like,
I have white hair.
You know, I would die.
I would.
I just thought it was one.
But I don't think my hair can handle it.
Aaron Frank did all this. Mine is so long.
I guess I never really noticed because I didn't have very long for geometry.
Wait, what is it?
But I think we did it for all of our reasons. Back there.
Okay, good.
Next is iPhone. There'll be 7 S's and then there'll be 8. There'll be a 5 1.
Okay.
You and Carly outside.
It's in between.
Except for the no button.
Okay.
Wait,
No one's gonna like that. He said everyone's touch it. Like, I'm gonna hold my phone like this and end up moving the phone shape. Also, like
Oh, he does. That's what I want.
at least with the board you can pick it up and like beat around with it.
Sean! What? That's not my teeth? How come you weren't in Stanton today?
Because I'd be eating.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
You don't know.
I'm stupid.
G'day.
Hey, knock it off.
Huh? That's racist. Stop being biased.
I said knock it off. That's not being racist.
That's biased. That's biased. He's being biased. I didn't even speak.
You know what? I'm gonna look up your channel. I'll just say I have a total great seed.
Oh, good for you. So crazy. I bet you have a B.
Alright, I want you to type in your username. I don't know. Type in your YouTube username.
I think that's it.
There you go, dude.
Son.
Dang it!
Wait, let's read this. Hey, I'm ranked 4 million.
Look at that, that's your mom.
How much you get?
Like it?
What up, PewDiePie? Let's see what she makes.
PewDiePie?
Let's see what she makes.
Hold on, I want that kind of yours to mine. Let's see.
So I make like 1 cent to 21 cents.
Let's look at
I'm gonna be
mine.
rich.
If I make more money than you,
I did. They have more stuff. Well, I probably.
And I have a
Well,
big
yeah, they are
radar.
making up.
Okay.
I officially claim this as my spot.
Okay. All right. Today, here's what we're going to be going over. We are going over section 312 today. This is one we started right before break. It was like a Monday, Tuesday before break. Subtracting. Okay. I want to talk about today. The reason why. I didn't feel like we needed to be for borrowing, and I want to make sure that we're comfortable with that today. Okay. So that's what we're going to start with. So I'm going to start with borrowing. But again, our main goal here is we're going to be subtracting fractions. I got about 3 examples I want to traction with fraction. So I got about 3 examples I want to go through today. The 3 examples that I definitely want to discuss. Number 1, I want to do how to subtract with like denominators. I'll explain that as we go. I want to do a problem where we have unlike denominators. And then the last one, I want to do a problem where, and this is where we're going to spend the most time on. We might do more examples of this. I want to do one where we have to borrow. We have to borrow technique. That's the ones I want to discuss. Okay? All right, so those are my 3 types of problems I want to go through today. If you're at all not comfortable with a certain type, let me know. We'll try to do another one of those, that type. Okay, we'll start with the easy one, the like denominator problem. Okay, so I'm just going to start with something easy. Let's go with 18 and 4 11ths minus 7 and 2 11ths. Okay, so do you agree that we have the denominators are exactly the same? Okay, so they've already done all the work for you. The denominators are exactly the same in both fractions. So there's 2 ways you can do this problem. 2 ways. Number 1, you can do the grouping way, like to group like terms together. So what I mean by like terms, we group the big numbers together, we subtract those, we group the fractions together, and we subtract those. And look at this, there is no problem doing that. You know, we can actually subtract these, we can actually subtract those, it won't cause any weird negative issues, and we can actually get to our final answer. So what is 18 minus 7?
11.
11, right? We got 11, and what's 4 minus 2? 2, and then the 11 just stays in the bottom, right? That's how it always works. That's your answer. That's it. Done. Like denominators are super easy, especially when the fractions actually work out. That is one method. Again, how we're doing this. This is by grouping. That is a grouping method of doing it. Now, if you're not into grouping, maybe you don't like that, you could always go to mixed. You can always go to improper. That is your other technique that you can do. Improper fractions, and it will still work. You'll still get the same answer. I don't want to, detract from that. So if you're going to do improper, you take the 18 times the bottom and you add the top. So 18 times the 11, you add the 4 on the top, and this will all be over 11. That's your improper fraction. And we're going to subtract the other one, which is the 7 times the 11, and you're going to add the 2 on the top, and that's over 11. So you can make them improper. Now, doing this correctly, I think this is 100 and I believe it's 198 plus 4, which is like 202 over 11, and that is 77 plus 2 is 79 over 11. Now, again, just to double check my work, I need to calculate it. Actually, double check that. Let's see. 2 times 11. I'm going to do that in my head. Hopefully, I did it right. 18 times 11, 198 and add 4. Okay. Okay, so I'm changing improper, then we just subtract. If they had the same denominator, we can just subtract the tops. 202 minus 79 is 123. This is 123 over 11. And then we try to figure out how many times can that work. Well, if we're going to put this back into, because that's an improper fraction. Putting that back in the house, the 123 is in the house. The 11's on the outside. 11 goes into 12 once. If I subtract, that's a 1. Bring down the next number. 11 goes into 13 once. And I'm left with a 2 for a remainder. So the big number is the 11. That's the big number. The 2 is my remainder over what I divided by. So do you see that it was the same answer? Now, do you see which one's easier, though? Especially when they have the same denominators, like grouping method is most definitely easier. But the problem is, like what we talked about right before break, this may not always work. Because what if that fraction here was too small? So and then that's the part where we had to borrow. And that's the stuff we were talking about. Like how do you get around that? The way to get around borrowing is just to go to improper route. You'll never go wrong with improper. always work. You won't have to do any extra steps. It'll be the same steps every time. But personally, I like grouping. I think that's easier. It's faster. But you gotta know how to group. You gotta know how to borrow correctly. Okay, any questions with the first one? Common denominators. I like to always show you two different ways of doing it in case you like one versus the other. Okay, now let's do a problem where we have unlike denominators. And I'm gonna pick one right from the book. Just so you can see this. So I do want to give you one that can be a Alright, and I'll give you guys the options of picking the problem from the book. Alright, so okay, I'll give you an option. You have the numbers 1 through 12 you can pick from.
6.
So, what have we got? 2 or 6?
2. He's always right. Golden.
Which one?
10.
10.
10? Should have went 2 or 6. Alright, 10. 11, 36. 11, 36.
Yeah.
Usually I'm right with 10.
Alright, 11 over 36 minus 1 over 6. Alright, so this is going to be our problem. My example. Now, do you agree that they have different denominators? They do. The denominators are not the same digit. So we can change these to be the same number. Now, this is the part where there's different methods of doing it. Like one way to find a common denominator, just multiply them together. It makes it an insanely big number. You could do it that way. Or just figure out what they both go into. Yeah, they both go into 36s. That's probably the easiest way, knowing that I can change that to be a 36. The first fraction, I'm going to leave it alone. I didn't do anything to it. I want it to be a 36 there. Back here, what do I have to multiply on this to make it a 36? 6, right? I want to take the top times 6. Okay, 6 over 36. Now I can subtract. Because now that they have the same denominator, and it didn't matter how you do that, I just picked 36, which was the bottom. You get to multiply them together to figure out really big numbers. But what's 11 minus 6?
5.
5 over 36. Don't worry about any, like, you don't have to worry about any mixed numbers or anything like that. It worked out. Okay, now if you were in that route where you took 36 and 6, your number would have been, what would that have been? 216 on the bottom, something like that. And 216 for the denominator. Okay, questions, comments on anything I've done here today? Okay, so not bad, right? We've done the same with the common denominator, some without. Now, here comes the complete mix problem, where I'm going to just pick a problem in the book. I'll let you guys pick numbers again. But now we're going to do ones where we have to borrow. So these are ones I want to spend some time on, the borrowing technique. So far, these have been pretty straightforward. You just subtract straight across. We haven't had to worry with borrowing. Okay, so I'll give you guys the options. So again, you guys have the numbers 1 through 8. I'll narrow it down. 1 through 8 now.
6. 4.
Oh, 6.
6? 4? Which one? 6?
6.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
hey,
Most
that's
6s, 4 is the second one. So if we need a second one, we'll go 4 second. Okay? All right, 6s. All right, so here we go. Number 6, 4 and 2 ninths. There we go. All right, so 4
This is a different page?
and 2 ninths.
Or is this the same as?
No, this is a different page. 4 and 2 ninths, and 5, 6. Okay, so this is my example. Now, again, we're still subtracting. We're not doing anything weird. We're not multiplying or dividing or anything like that. But we do need to discuss how to do these. So, as of right now, are we allowed to subtract these? Why not? Exactly. Denominator is not like. So we need to somehow get the denominator to be the same digit. I don't care how you do it, but what would your common denominator be?
54.
54? Yeah, we'll do that right. Could have been 18 as well, but we'll do 54. Okay? All right, so 54s. So what do we do on this first fraction to make a 54 here? Times by 6. Take the top times 6, we get 12. So that's multiplying the first. Now the second fraction, what do we multiply on the bottom?
9.
9, so we have to take the top times 9. So I get 45 over 54. got common denominators. Now, do you see the back fraction's too big for the first one?
You can actually do it by 18.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah, if you did 18. Yeah, 18 you take times 2, times 3. It would have been, this would have been 4/18ths, and this would have been 15/18. So, it still would have had this weird issue where you can't subtract. The back fraction is too big. So, I'm going to show you two different ways. You can do it by either improper, or we can do it by borrowing. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so if we're going to do it by the borrowing technique, so we'll do that one first. So this is where we're at right now. This is the problem I'm going to be using for the next two. Okay? So we're going to do it by borrowing, because you want to do borrowing is like how to do this so you don't have to go improper route. So you don't get these crazy big numbers and all that. So for borrowing, I need to make sure that this fraction here is bigger than this one. That's all I need to make sure. That's what I'm trying to make sure, so that way I can actually subtract. So we're going to make this 4 do a 3. And we're taking the 4, making it a 3. When you do that, you add this bottom number to the top. You can add it. So that'll be a 66 over 54. That's what you did. You basically took how we did that. We changed the 4 to be 3 plus 1. And instead of 1 here, basically I made this to be a 54 over 54. It's 1 full pi. And that's why these added together. That's what happened. That's why it turned out to be that. Alright, so now that I got that, again, that was just adding the bottom to the top. And you have to do that after you get common denominators. So now, do you see that now I can actually subtract these? We're going to get actual numbers we can actually use here. So now we can do this problem by grouping them up. We can group the big numbers together, 3 minus the 1. We can group the fractions together and actually subtract these. So the 54 we know is going to be on the bottom. Over here, what's 3 minus 1? 2. That's going to be my big number up front. We know the 54 is going to be on the bottom. But what's 66 minus 45? 66 minus 45?
21.
There you go. You can if you want. I'm not asking you to simplify. Now, if you went to 18 right, you wouldn't have to. They're already simplified. But yeah, I know like 21 and 54 have 3's in common. You wouldn't have to. I'm not requiring it. Question?
I was going to say, it's simplified down to 2 instead of 18.
They had a, yeah, because they had a 3 in common. Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right, questions with how I did it by borrowing. Now, let's say you don't like borrowing. Let's say that like this doesn't make any sense. Like you just don't like that. You don't understand the concept, or you're not comfortable with adding the bottom number to the top, or you just don't want to do that route. You can always go from here, right here. Now that I have common denominators, you can always go to improper. You can always do it that way. You would never have to borrow when you do improper. So in fact, I'm going to start over here with a 4 and 12/54 minus the 1 and 45/54. And changing these to improper, 4 times the 54. Then I'm going to add the 12 on the top. Over here, the 1 times the 54. Add the 45 on the top for 54, and I'll make them improper. I'm trying to do this in my head. 54 times 4 is a 6 carry 1, 21, 216 plus 12, 228 over 54. 54 times 1 is 54 plus that is 99. Double check my math there. I don't know if I did that right. 4 times 54 plus the 12. Yeah, I was right. 228. Okay. Questions on how to change an improper? What I did there. Big number times the bottom, add the top. Now at this point, now I can subtract. Subtracting these straight across, I would get 129 on the top over 54. Taking 129 minus 99, almost 100. And then what I'd have to do now is take the 54, the 129 divided by 54, and eventually, yes, you'd actually figure out that 54 goes in there twice, and you'd have a 21 left over. 54 times 2 is 108, and that'd be 21, 129. Okay, questions on how I just did that from? Good. I don't care which method you like. I like this route. I like making the number smaller, modifying the back number, borrowing. That way I can actually subtract. Okay, here's my question. Do we want to do another one of those? Yeah? Okay. So do we want to do that problem number 4 then? Because that was the other one that you guys picked. Let's do that one. Okay. Number 4 here. All right, so that was number 6. So let's pick number 4. 27 and 4/5. Minus 2 and 5/6. All right. So this point, can we subtract right away? Not common denominators, right? So we'll have to modify the denominator a little bit. Common denominator between
20? No. 25, no, wait, 30.
30. 30, 5 and 6.
No, wait,
So,
no.
all right, so
50.
we're definitely going to get 30s on the bottom here. The big numbers aren't going to change for right now. We're going to leave these alone. So on this first fraction, what do I have to multiply? 6. So I think the top comes 6, so I get 24. Over here, I multiplied by, 5? So I think the top comes 5. So we get 25. And as you can see, I can't subtract those. So I'm either going to have to borrow, or I'm going to have to do that improper method. Because that first fraction is too small compared to the second one. It was actually just off by 1. Just like. So, now, it's your choice. Do you want to go the borrowing technique or improper? Borrowing? Okay. So, how do we borrow from the 27? What will happen? Yep. So it's 26, and then what happens to the fraction in the back?
You add 32.
Yeah. So we get 54 on the top over 30. We're adding the bottom number up. That's how I do it. So I borrow 1, add 30 to the top. And this fraction back here didn't change because we're good now. Now the first fraction is bigger. So now we can actually group these things together and actually subtract. 26 minus the 2 is 54 over 30 minus the 25 over 30. And if we actually subtract here, this turns out to be 24 for the big number. That's my mixed number, it's the whole number up front. And subtracting these, I know I'm going to have the 30 from that one. What's 54 minus 25? 29. Okay, questions, comments, and what we're going to do here today. Okay, I like the borrowing technique. I think it's just easy, it's quick, especially after you find common denominators. That's how you know if you're going to have to borrow. You don't always have to borrow. It's only when that first fraction is too small to subtract. Because I know we did a problem earlier. We didn't have to borrow. We just subtracted straight across. So it's just kind of wherever that problem's sitting. But again, if you do it improper, you never have to worry about it. You never have to worry. Because the front number will always be bigger. That's how it always works. Front number should always be improper. That way you can always subtract. The hard part about this one is once you get to here, you have to change it back. That's the hard part. Now you got to do long division. Knowing that 54 goes into 129 twice. That's where you need a calculator. I do not require today that you'll simplify. You don't have to. Question?
So much today on page 82 and 83.
Maybe?
Because I kind of figured it out because
What runs it from?
exercise B and exercise A.
Clever. All right,
That's
here we
the
go.
problems we were on.
All right, here you go. Here's your number for next. Page 82. Figured it out. That was pretty clever. Pretty clever. All right. Page 82. 1 through 8. Exercise B. And then you're going to jump to page 83 on that page. Remember, these 1 through 8, I think they're at the top of that page. Then page 83, you're going 1 through 8. And they're the only ones on the page. And and that's exercise A, I believe. The best news is, I've already done 2 of them. I've done 2 of your homework problems so far. Now, when are these due? Wednesday. Wednesday, November 30th. They have a couple days work on it. Now, we are rapidly approaching the end of this chapter. Okay, we have only a couple sections left. I want to do one about story problems, one where we kind of mix all the problems together. We start doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all in kind of like one type of assignment where you have to kind of know which method to do. So my goal by the end of the week is start reviewing. I want to start reviewing for the test. So maybe at the end of this week, I'll hand out your practice test so that we can have the test next week. That's not for chapter 3. So maybe Tuesday next week we can have a test. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, because I want to make sure we take our time to get the stuff